Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30 plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable pink kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, William P., Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, May Cry Devil, Ruby Riot, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Violet Rain, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction, Pumpkin Pie, Ms. Tourmaline,
S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Spiper No Spiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Coffee and Chaos, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Princess Sassy Pants, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Drew, Daddy's Pumpkin, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Mongoose, Sadia Lemon, Daddy Dom Gav, Dismal, and Noir.
I thought for episode 200, I would do something different. And instead of dungeon hangover, I have a cold in my nose.
No, that kind of sucks. Okay, so you got to tell the story of what happened on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem really started Saturday night and exacerbated because I was starting to lose my voice Saturday night. And I didn't let that stop me from going to the dungeon.
And hosting.
And talking incessantly, plus doing a scene. So by the time I woke up Sunday morning, I had no voice.
None.
And I'm like going, I don't know how we're going to do an episode when I have no voice.
Well, it ain't going to be Dara just talking.
And then I had to do one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. And I would like a little bit of sympathy from everybody listening, please. I had to not talk for the whole day.
Oh my God.
That was really hard.
I am so sorry. Because you're the person that talked when they had their tonsils out.
Yeah, it was really hard not talking.
Did you actually not talk, or did you
Well,
were
I
you
only had to
supposed to
talk
not
a little
talk?
bit. I only talked because, like, if my son came down into the room, we were talking about football because my team was sucking on air as usual. So yeah, but I mean, I didn't call anybody on the phone. I just texted if I needed to talk to anybody.
Well, good for you. And now you actually have a voice. So now we're recording online
This
on
is
a
better.
Monday night.
As awful as this sounds, this is better than yesterday. So yes.
We should have gotten some sort of recording yesterday just to prove it.
But here we go. It's like we're starting off. It is episode 200. It is the year 2025. And this is how we're starting off.
Sort of? Timey-wimey?
Timey-wimey. When people listen to this, it is 2025.
It is the first episode of the new year, and Rara has a cold.
Yep. Oh, joyful 2025. It's starting off with a bang.
My goodness.
But yeah, we decided to. This was actually, I will give credit where credit is due, and I believe, Dar, this was your idea.
Yes, actually.
So,
And actually the problem was we were running out of shticks doing this. So
we decided to make an entire episode of nothing but shtick.
well, yeah, because our usual shtick is not stick. That's different. Our usual stick. Damn it. Here we go. Oh, good Lord. I worked all day today. Shut up. Anyway.
I worked hardly today.
Yes.
I had a good day. It was hardly working.
Yeah. I actually had to work. Okay. So let me try this for like the fifth time?
You got it.
Our usual shtick.
Yay.
Hey. Is talking about dungeons. And since we were going into the most amount of dungeons and parties that we have ever done all together at the same time.
Well, that was because you set new records for you. It was pretty standard for me. But you were setting all kinds of new records for you.
This blew all the records out the window. Even missing 2 of them, I still blew every record I had.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so.
Welcome to the dark side. We have cookies.
We do?
We do. Did you not get your cookie?
I didn't.
Oh, you know what? Because they're made with butter. Sorry.
Okay, well, can I have an Oreo?
Sure. You can always have an Oreo.
Okay. Oreos are vegan. I can have Oreos.
I made cookies today that you could not have, and they were so good. They were hot chocolate cookies.
Hey, I found vegan hot chocolate at Target.
There you go.
I can have those.
All right, make vegan hot chocolate cookies.
Okay, no. You have to make me vegan hot chocolate cookies because you made the hot chocolate cookies.
Yes, out of a box.
Oh.
Because I am nothing if not lazy, especially when I feel like this.
Yeah, well, why were you cooking today?
It was a project to do.
All right, you were bored as shit.
I wanted to leave my boss and coworkers some holiday treats.
Well, that's generous. I'm not doing that. Fuck them.
Well, they paid for it. I just made it for them.
No. Fuck all that noise. I'm not doing anything nearly that nice. I'm just counting the days where I can leave. In fact, so we're like, okay, 5 more days this week. And until we get to go on PTO. And I'm going 3.5 more days because I'm off tomorrow.
I have 5 more work days before I am on a 1.5 week vacation. So I know it is one of the joyful things of I get to enjoy all the benefits of the holiday season without having to do any of the holiday season requirements.
Here we go.
Let's explain to people then what are we going to be talking about in today's episode?
Today is Dungeonpalooza.
Ooh, we need to put some like Palooza music in here somewhere.
What's Palooza music?
I don't know. That's not my job. That's your job. Find Palooza music.
Okay.
Some celebration. Oh, I know. Or you could put in, you could do celebrate good times. Come on.
Are we allowed to use that?
Probably not.
We should ask the chat. What is Palooza music? I don't know why, but I'm actually hearing like oompa music.
Oompa loompa doopy.
No, not oompa loompa music. Oompa. Oh my God.
What the hell is oompa?
No. Oompa. It's like with the accordions and the tubas, and it's very German.
Yeah, German Jews. We don't have a good relationship.
Hold on, let me change that. It's very Polish.
Okay, Polish is better. Oops, daisy. It's all good. It's all good. It's fine.
Whichever. Pick whichever one is good.
So what we've basically been doing, guys, is all the stories that we tell you about our adventures in the dungeon, we've been saving them all. And now, I hope I remember them all.
I was writing them down, and I'm sure that I forgot a lot of shit because keep in mind, I write this when I'm dungeon or party hungover as fuck and don't remember anything.
Well, luckily for me, a lot of my stories have to do around being at Naughty Noel, and that was only a week ago, so I remember them still.
Well, I have to go all the way back to, holy shit, 2 months ago.
Oh, first thing in my notes is Citadel of Kink.
I am a week before you at Fet Ball.
Oh, then why don't you start
I will.
in our attempt to make this in time chronological order here?
Sure.
I said attempt. Attempt.
Marginally chronological order. October 13th was Fet Ball, and it's something that I usually do pretty much all the time with Bobby, except for last year when Bobby couldn't make it. He had a prior commitment, so I did it with Noir, but I'm not going back that far in time. Only 2 months. So this started off really strong. We got our usual spot in the corner, which has very, very good electrical outlets. And the best part about this one was we were the only staff that was actually on the main floor. Normally, we have to compete with, let's see, I think Wax, and we have to use the electrical outlets with them. And then sometimes Knives is on the other side, or Impact or something, usually Knives. But this time, nobody else was there. They were all upstairs, and we were like, holy shit, we have this entire section to ourselves. We could spread out. Oh my God. So we were excited. So we set up, and Bobby and I have a lot of the same equipment. So we're doing that thing where we're going, okay, should we use your one of these or mine? Which one? Most of the stuff we used was his because, let's face it, I'm not going to make it past a certain amount of time, and he'll stay until closing and then go to the after party.
Yes.
There's no way in hell I would make it that long. So we usually put his stuff out, and then whatever he doesn't have, I sort of fill in. So this one was a little bit weird. I'm not going to lie. There were not as many people at opening as usual. Normally we have a very steady stream. It's a straight up like crush to get in and get down to coat check. And there was open space, and we were going, what? What's happening? And we figured out that it was because there was a concert in the area the same exact night. So traffic was ridiculous, and people were having a really hard time getting in, finding parking, all that jazz. So it took a much, much longer time to sort of get going. When it did, it was usual. Apparently this one lasted until about 6 a.m.
Pretty standard.
Yeah. I open, we're starting. It was great. We're doing our thing. And then shit went wrong. So, this actually is very depressing. Like, this will go down in history as the worst Fet Ball for me, period, end of story. You know the little handles on the side of the massage table?
Yeah.
Well, we put the wands in that as kind of a holder. So like they were just fat enough that you could stick them in there and it was kind of holding it. And we didn't have to worry about it rolling off the table because a lot of stupid fucking people hit our tables and knock our stuff over. So we were like, we're being smart. We're putting it in the loops. And I demoed on this one chick, and I put the wand back in the holder. She gets down, thanks me, goes on her way. And one of Bobby's partners shows up and is next and climbs on the table, and he starts, and I'm taking a break, and I sit and I look over to the table, and my wand, my toothless, was broken in half. And when I say in half, I mean the housing was snapped. It was hanging on by 2 wires, and it was just bent at, I would say, a 45-degree angle. And of course, I start freaking out, grab it, and I immediately look at the person who's currently on the table. And then they pointed out, no, it couldn't have been, because then it would have been pointing the opposite direction. It would have been going up. If it had been broken while the person was climbing up the table, it would have been bent differently.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the whole rest of the evening was wrecked. I could not get back into any kind of headspace. I had to go outside to gather myself. I'm like
I would have burst into
crying.
tears.
I held it together. I didn't burst into tears. Well, and you know what? Let me back up. It was even worse than that because I had paid. I went to Sephora to go get my makeup done this time, which I almost never do, but I decided I wanted to treat myself. She did a horrible job. She took way too, almost 2 hours, and I had booked like a 1-hour appointment. And she did a really bad job anyway, and I could have done it better myself. And I was like, what the actual fuck is happening? And so I was late getting home, and I barely had any time to get my shit together and leave. So that started me off stupid. And then my wand broke, and I just couldn't. I was like, it's a $400 piece of equipment that I've had for years. I put fucking stickers on it.
Mm-hmm.
I was so upset, dude. I was an absolute wreck. I couldn't get back into that headspace. And I told Daddy J, I was like, we have to go. I told Bobby, I was like, I can't do this. I have to go. I am not going to be able to do this tonight.
No, if you're not in the
gone.
right headspace, you can't do a scene.
I'm gone. So I was trying to pack up as fast as I could because I was trying to get out before they started the main show. Because if we left there was no getting out because everybody floods the main floor from all the other 2 floors, and it's a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
We just barely made it. I mean, I think we got almost to the door when they were starting, so people were still coming down, but we made it out. Yeah, it was so fucking bad. It was a bad fucking night for me.
I'm
Starting off
sorry.
strong.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I am sorry. But there's a happy ending.
There is?
Didn't you get a new?
Oh, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Well, so the next day, so one of the goals or records, I guess, that I broke was how many dungeon events, electro events, parties, whatever, all of the stuff that we do, I did basically in a row. And I don't mean like every single day. I mean by weekend. I normally do once, maybe twice a month. I think I was doing on the schedule were 8 events in 6 weeks. That's what it was supposed to be. So I was like freaking out. I'm like, how am I supposed to do all this without a wand? So Bobby, in his infinite generosity, gave me one of his to borrow. And I still have it, which was actually kind of fun because I was using both of them at Crucible last night. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. So that's that. That was the weekend of Risque, if I remember correctly, which you didn't go to because you can't do. And
there's no way I can do Risque and Fetball.
I had already the week before I had done Sinful and Naughty, where I topped for Needles and Impact, and nothing stands out. It was the traditional weekend, and then the second weekend I did hosting at Risque, and again, nothing stood out. It was just your traditional, normal thing. So I guess the first thing that really stands out is the third weekend in October. And Dar and I had both been invited to go to a friend's house, which she calls the Citadel of Kink. And we were invited to be demo tops at a private house party that he was doing. And it was our first time being at this particular dungeon, which was very lovely.
Oh, it was well done. This was the one that a few weeks prior we had gone to visit so we could like stake it out and
I
get
got
to know
lost.
it.
And I got lost. I did not get lost going.
Good job.
Thank you. And I was very excited because I had to park far from their house and then like walk up the hill, which was their driveway. And thank goodness I ran into a friend who helped carry my stuff. It's always good to run into little subby boys who help you carry all that stuff up there. And so I got everything set up and it was nice. But as is typical, I'm a little scary. You know, I wasn't doing Impact. I was just doing Needles. And it's a little scary for people. So it took a while before anybody was interested to try. So I did, what else am I supposed to do? So I just sat down on my table and I put staples in my own legs and made.
What else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do? And just did a staple corset on my thighs.
Well, you have to show off the merchandise.
Right? I was modeling.
I mean, it was an advertisement.
Yes. And it worked because then I did get a couple of people and I must have broken like 3 cherries that night, which was
nice.
which is very cool.
You know how much we love them cherries.
What was really funny is I was supposed to do with Naughty and Nice. Dar and I were going to do a demo with her where we were going to put needles and TENS unit pads on her and electrify her. And then I was going to do needle impact with her. And it was really cute because she got sick, unfortunately, that night. And when I was talking to the host and another good friend of ours, and they're like, "Oh, isn't there somebody else that you could ask to be your demo bottom?" I said, "Well, it's not that easy to just walk up to somebody and say, 'Hey, do you mind if I stick needles in you and then we electrify those needles? And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to do impact on the needles and make you bleed and paint in your blood?'" And they
There's a
looked at
very
me.
select few
They
people that can
they
do that.
looked at me and they went, "Yeah, I could see how that made problem. I could count 2 that will let me do it. Naughty and Nice and Cindy.
Yes.
And that's about it."
We keep volunteering the two of them for scenes.
And they keep listening and go, "What the hell did you volunteer me for this time?" I'm like, "So
Oh my
you're not
God.
gonna do it?" And they go, "Okay, well, yeah, we are gonna do it, but."
It's just, it cracks me up when Cindy goes into the chat and is like, "Oh my God, they volunteered me for something else. I guess I have to add this to my ever-growing list." Like she's upset
Like,
about it.
boo-hoo-hoo, right? Poor
Right?
Cindy.
We know you, Cindy. We know.
So I ended up, I mean, I still had a lovely night. It was good to see some friends that I had not seen in forever. It was good to talk to a couple people that I knew very casually, and I got to know them even better. And it was very exciting to pop a couple of needle cherries and see people be like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad at all." That's like one of my favorite things when they get so worked up in their head, and then I do it, I do the first needle, and they're like, "Oh, that was it?"
Yeah, if you ever actually do it to me, that's not going to be my reaction.
I bet you it will be. I actually
You
bet you
know,
it will be,
if thinking about it, it probably will,
because 'cause you've got it so worked up in your head to this
because
huge
needles.
thing, and I'm gonna do it, and you're gonna be like, "That was nothing." I've had worse in doctor's offices. I'll be like, "I know, so I'm trying to tell you."
Yeah, probably. I don't care.
So, and you and I were in totally different floors, so I don't know what was going
Yeah.
on for your end of things.
I may or may not have started to blow a fuse and the speakers were kind of going because of the electro, and it's like, could you not plug
Whoopsie-daisy.
these into the same thing? Like, what were you thinking? I got there kind of late. We were just running like super behind, but it worked out. I put everything together. I had a great spot. I was really happy in that spot. I had some newbies. And actually, cute thing, one of the newbies that was there, she was at Risque this weekend.
Oh,
And
yay.
she came and, said hi and everything. I was like, "Ah, I remember you." So that was super fun. And then there was a couple of standouts for me was the one guy who was kind of nervous about it and like apparently had to have a couple drinks before he came over to the table and was like, "Okay, can you like do this now?" And normally I'm like kind of iffy because electro drinking or honestly any kind of play and drinking don't really mix, but he seemed sober enough. He was good. He just needed to take the edge off. And I was like, all right. So, and it's not like we were at a dungeon. It was just a private house party. There weren't nearly as many people. I was like, all right, we'll do this. And I ended up, he's really white. So I ended up giving him like a shitload of electrical burns on his back. And he was like, "Yeah, these kind of itch." And I'm like, "Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to put some aloe on that. And if they start getting really raised, you're going to take some Benadryl." And actually, I saw him at Your Munch a few weeks ago. And he told me that they were just gone the next day. And I was like, cool, good.
Yay.
Let's see. One other standout. Oh, there were two more. Two girls each. Yeah. Did that make sense?
2 girls each.
Yes.
That'd be 4
Each.
girls total.
No, scene. Each scene was 2 girls. Because I do
So
a lot
4
of
girls
couples.
total? So 2 in
Yes.
one scene, 2 girls in one scene, 2 girls in another scene.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was told there'd be no math.
Well, I didn't mean to math it. You had to math it and make it 4. I was doing 2 and 2.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Okay, not necessarily.
That much I know.
neither of the sets of girls were couples. And one was just like, okay, the first one was her and I guess her best friend. And they were so giggly and screamy and just so cute. And I think that's the one that came to see me at Risque the last time. And it was a great time. And I gave the newer one, I gave her a squishy.
Squishy.
You know, those little squish thingies. God, I don't know what they're called. They're like these little weird rubber things that I don't even know what they're called. Like mochis?
Maybe.
I think they're called mochis. Anyway, they're so cute and littles love them. And I was giving them out as prizes every time I did, like, you know, every time I popped an electro cherry. So the second set of girls was I'm trying to figure out, it made me math and now I'm like confused. So the second set was the host's girlfriend and I guess a play partner.
There's too many in that polycule for me to keep track of.
I don't know what's happening. It was this girl and her meta, I think. So they were super fun. So the main one, the host girlfriend, had done electro several times. Like she's an old pro. So she wanted her meta to experience it. And I had to argue with the host, who, you know, is like a super sadist and wanted to like cause all kinds of pain and havoc, not to do that and let me go gentle. Well, I sort of upped it because she kept going and she kept screaming that she loved it. And we had a really good time. I actually did tinsel on them, which I don't normally do with newbies, but she seemed to be absolutely going nuts and loving it. So we got pretty into it and it was fun. And that's it. I think those are just the big standouts for Citadel of Kink for me.
There we go. All right. Well, to the next weekend, I actually didn't do anything. I stayed home.
I did things. On October 20th. Oh, that's not even the next weekend. That's the next day. Okay, so I went from October 19th, the Citadel of Kink, to literally the next day going, I think I drove, what was it, like an hour and a half drive or something for me, to a Rocky Horror Picture Show tea party, Kink tea party. So we do the whole Rocky Horror thing, and then downstairs is the dungeon. And I had coordinated this with the person who was doing the tea party. And, you know, you had to buy tickets to it to help provide for the food and all this other stuff and all the equipment. And we had a photographer there and it was awesome. This one person, well, actually there was two, but they couldn't do it at the last second. But so I had one person that bought a VIP ticket. The VIP ticket included a 1-hour session with me in the basement while doing all this Rocky Horror stuff. And it was our friend Felix. And she bought it for herself for her 40th birthday. So I was so honored to literally be her birthday present. I keep telling people I make an amazing present. At the dungeon, I keep telling myself, I'm like, look, I make a fantastic Christmas gift or a Valentine's gift or a birthday gift or an anniversary gift. You should
Or just
use me.
because gift.
Or a I love you and wanted to buy you some electro gift. I mean, I'll wrap myself up in a bow. You know, I'm good. But yeah, I marked Felix up. It was fantastic. Oh, and Felix is the one that does this weird cross between a squeal and a scream noise. And like, she's also the one that you have to like have people on either side of the, what do you call it? The massage table so that she doesn't roll off the fucking thing.
You could strap her down.
I'm going to have to do that next time because this chick moves. And it's really fun because when you poke somebody with the electrode and they start moving, they don't realize that they're just exposing more skin to me to poke and prod and electrify.
Well, don't tell them that. Don't give away your secrets.
They know now. Well, it's kind of involuntary, so I don't know if they can help it. But it's super fun for me, so I don't care. Because it just makes the screaming worse. Better?
Yes.
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 I'll take it.
All right. So that was Sunday. So then we have the last weekend in October. And again, I was supposed to see the day after the Citadel of Kink, I was supposed to go be part of a bottoms committee where we were going to speak.
Ooh.
we were going to speak to folks and just talk about our experiences bottoms. But unfortunately, the person in charge of it waited to the last minute and didn't advertise it enough. So they've decided to reschedule it.
Mm.
So I went, and I was at a point where I was like, oh, bummer. So sad. Guess I'll be at home.
You were like, I'm not super upset about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and then the following weekend, I actually had no plans that last weekend in October. I was very excited not to have any plans.
Well, that brings me to my next event, I guess. That was my first. So I host littles parties, and normally there's no play. And I don't let people, like, we don't do dungeony stuff at my house. One, I don't really have a dungeon set up for it. And two, I mostly just have it like a place for littles to be littles. Like, that's how it's always been set up. Well, not this time. This time there was a request at my birthday party to literally have a party and play electro games at my house. So we decided to do it as a Halloween party. So everybody came, we wore costumes, mostly onesies. It was a great time. And all of my girlfriends showed up and I was super happy. And both my work wives, I was like pumped. Like everybody showed up to this. Fuck yeah. So the games that we played, I'm just going to summarize really, really quick. And I have one cute little story. We did all the old favorites like the tinsel, and we played Operation. And our friend Emmy was the person on the table for Operation. She had a fabulous time. I think there was one other person that did it, but I can't remember who it was. And we, of course, had to play dildo ring toss.
Of course.
That's one of our new ones, and it was super fun. And everybody got into it. And then we played Twister. And Twister is the new one, and that was created by our friend Cards over at Crucible. And it's basically the Twister game, but you put a metal mesh sheet on top of it, and you tape it with conductive tape. And then you spin the thing, and you put your hand down or your foot down or whatever it is, and then you spin it again, and that's what I have to zap. And then if you feel it, it just gives you more opportunity to get knocked over. Well, we had everybody who was playing, and then we had people who were watching, like on the couch, on the floor, whatever. Someone forgot to close the door from upstairs to the basement. I have dogs. So you see where this is going, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The little one comes running down the stairs because, oh my God, people are there. She wanted to be near the people. And I put I didn't notice she was there. I put the wand down. It made a buzzing noise and she went straight for it. Like, attack! So, of course, I realized she's coming and I pull the wand up. No harm, but she pounced on it like it was a fucking bug. It was really funny. We had to kick her out, but it was cute.
Aw. She wanted to play.
She wanted to kill the bug. She thought it was I think she thought it was a cicada because it kind of makes the same noise.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Yeah, so well, that's it for October. We're up to November already. So first weekend in November, I did my traditional Sinful and Naughty, and I
Mhm.
topped for Needles and for Impact. I was supposed to do a full Impact scene at the end, but I ended up not doing it because the person who I was going to top wasn't in the right headspace, and that's fine. These things happen. And
Right.
honestly, I knew I was going to be so busy that having one less thing to do was fine. But it was a fun night. I mean, as usual, I love doing that event. It's probably one of my favorite events.
That's because you get to do needles.
I get to do needles. I always have fun when I get to do needles. I mean, don't get me wrong, Impact is fun too. But needles is fun with less physicality. I get to stay still a little more.
You don't have your arms falling off the next
No,
day.
I don't.
You can always sew them back on.
Haha.
Mhm.
That's true, I could. All right.
Yeah, of course I did something that weekend. Let's see. Actually, that was more chill. All I had was one electro lesson. And the guy was super sweet. You know who he is. He goes to your munch. Way, way older gentleman. I'll point him out to you next time. I think you know who he is anyway. But he was so sweet. And it was absolutely 2 hours well spent of teaching somebody about this who wanted to learn how to top. And I love doing that. I genuinely just love doing that. But here was the cute part. This dude took notes about everything. Like, he wrote down everything. He asked so many good questions. And he was like, where did you get this piece? Where'd you get this piece? Most of what I said was Amazon. He asked how I made a few of the pieces. And it was lovely. Like, the whole thing was just lovely. And the best part was I got enough money in that one session to purchase a replacement for my beloved Toothless.
Yay.
This one is not named Toothless. I can't bring myself to do that. He currently has no name.
He needs a name.
I was thinking Drogon, but then I would have to rename the white one from Light Fury. I'd have to name it like Viserion or something.
Yeah, that's tough.
I wonder can I get a blue wand and name it Rhaegon? I don't know. Was that one green? I don't even remember at this point. It's been a while. So I was supposed to go to the re-inauguration of Dungeness that night because it's literally 2 miles from my house.
Right. It was a friend's birthday. It was a friend's birthday. We were both invited. I'd already had my commitment to Sinful and Naughty, so I knew I couldn't go.
And I don't know what happened. Maybe I RSVP'd too late or something, but I never got directions to the house because I didn't remember. It's been over 5 years since pre-COVID.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't remember with the address. I didn't remember shit. So we didn't go.
No, but I bet at that point too, you weren't trying that hard. It was a break for you.
I really wasn't. At that point, I was just like, okay. Yeah. That was it.
And then the following weekend was Risque again.
I'm trying to remember if I went to that one. I'm pretty sure I did. Yes.
Yeah. And that was just typical. The only funny thing about that, I was hosting and I got talking to somebody who was turns out of the country, but they were talking about places in the United States that they had been to. And we discovered they had graduated from the college my daughter goes to,
cool.
Which is not a big university. It's a little private school. So it was really kind of funny. So I sat and talked with them, and then I was telling them about Pink Kink, and I gave them the business card so they could listen. And they were like, oh my God, that's you? I listened to you.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so that was fun.
That's cute. I love when that happens.
But yeah, so it was, I always have an amazing, wonderful time at Risque.
Oh, it's always great. The two things that stand out for me from that one is that was the night that I met Freddie, who has become absolutely amazing. Like, we saw him again this past Risque,
yes.
And dude is just an absolute love. Absolute fucking love. I'm thinking he needs to start coming to the Littles parties. He's a gigantic little.
He is a gigantic little.
The first time we met him, he was wearing a
onesie.
A onesie. And not the kind, like, not the fuzzy kind that go all the way from neck to wrist to feet. I mean, it was like a little ABDL onesie almost, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's just the funniest damn person. And I popped his cherry that night for Electro, and listening to him was hysterical. He was every single thing I did. Just every noise that you could possibly come up with came out of his mouth. And then that was the night that there was that one dude who was being kicked out.
There was more than one dude that night.
Yes, but this one was the entire security team trying to get him out of the fucking dungeon because he wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And so Daddy J wasn't there, so Chaos Monster was kind of backing me up a little bit.
Right, because Vixen was
hosting. Yeah. So Chaos Monster needed a place to chill, so he was behind the Electro area with me and kind of helping me out, talking to people when I couldn't. But when this dude was being, shall we say, escorted out by every single DM in the dungeon, he was flailing so badly that I turned off the Electro, and Chaos Monster and I went and stood in front of the bench, the massage table, to protect the bottom. because this dude was getting so close. We were like, he's going to knock into somebody. And like, we didn't want the bottom to get kind of messed up. So we were like, this is completely batshit. I've never seen that many DMs go after one guy
No,
before.
never. And it was an interesting night.
I think there were 3 people total that got kicked for what? I think it was like
I knew
over
of two.
drinking.
I knew of two.
I'll-
One of which was this guy.
Right. Well, the funny part is he actually escaped the DMs. I'm watching this like a damn soap opera. He escaped the DMs and dove back into the crowd, and that's when everybody went after him and their brother. It was just fucking crazy.
This particular venue, I mean, not that everybody doesn't, but at this event, they are very much aware of safety and wanting to make sure that problematic people get their asses kicked out.
And they're strict as fuck about it too.
Yeah.
So I've never seen that many DMs go after one person before. It was kind of impressive.
All right. The next weekend was another private house party that was really about MMA fighting. So the dungeon was open at the house party. I did not partake of any dungeon activities, but I
didn't go.
I did have some really fascinating conversations about DS and about different roles within kink with about 4 or 5 people. It was a very intellectual evening, which was fun.
With the MMA fight going on in the background, right?
Going in the background. Well, we were trying to ignore the fact that Trump and his cronies were at the fight, and they kept focusing the camera on them. So every time they came up on the screen, we all just kind of like quickly got louder in our conversations and tried to tune it out.
Yeah, that was the weekend of the first food poisoning.
Yeah, because you didn't learn your lesson.
Look, it was not my fault either time. That was the one where I'm pretty sure. Okay, so we figured it out. They put butter on the burger, like the burger bun.
Yeah,
not the
burger itself.
Not the burger itself. But either way, like we told them, don't do that, and they did it. So I trusted this place because it's a place that I eat all the time, and they usually do a really good job. Not that time. I was sick for about 4 days. And then even after that, I still, have lingering effects. It has not stopped. So I'm fucking pissed off.
I would imagine.
I'm upset. I really, really wanted to go to that particular party.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I'm not a huge MMA fan, but I know enough to enjoy watching and I'm fascinated by it. And it's just always good to hang out with friends.
Well, I think that's actually one thing that I thought was really interesting because the hosts have a wrestling kink, I think, is what it is.
I got to watch some wrestling matches happening.
They had it at the party?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch.
They had
we should do an episode on that.
They had 2-on-1.
Oh, fun.
I got invited to participate. I said, do I look like I wrestle? I said, breaking a nail is a hard limit. So anything that I could risk breaking a nail is not happening.
Or your hair getting messed up.
Yeah, that too.
Can you imagine?
No, thank you. All right. So the next weekend, was not a dungeon weekend, but it was a virtual kink convention weekend for me. And that was kink school. So I got to teach 2 classes for kink school, which is always fun, and attend a couple of classes. And I just got to chill. It was one of those where like from the waist up, I looked all fancy, and from the waist down, not so much.
Sweatpants?
Nobody could see me from the waist down. So it was fine.
Yeah. Sweatpants, leggings, something like that. PJ pants. Yeah. That's always fun. I miss virtual days.
Yeah. So anything for you that weekend?
No. So the Tiger's Den Fight Night was actually supposed to be my number 8 in 6 weeks, but I had already missed Dungeness. So I was down to 7 in 6 and then got dead that weekend from food poisoning. So I was 6 for 6.
There you go.
But still, that's insane for me.
I know. It is for you. All right. Then the following weekend is Thanksgiving. We didn't have to worry about it.
Nope.
Now we hit December. And now Dar and I have gone back to our normal scheduled
Program.
Regularly
scheduled program. That's the line.
Right. Regular scheduled program. So that first weekend for me in December was Naughty Noel. And that was jam-packed.
And this is what Rara has been saving her voice for.
Yeah. Well, this is also the reason I'm sick. I have con crud.
Oh.
That's where I got sick from. But I'm grateful. It could be worse. A lot of people ended up with COVID. This was not COVID. I'm a basic bitch, so I just have the common cold.
All right, tell your stories.
But I got to, so I taught 3 classes. I did Kink is Not a Competition, which is the first time that I've taught that class, which is always an adventure. And I got lots and lots of notes, and I've already made huge changes to the class based upon the feedback from people. So it's fabulous. I got all the reviews back from folks, and everybody still loved the class. These were just things I could do to make it even better. I got to do Create Your Risk Profile class, and then my all-time favorite class to teach, which is Ethical Bratting. So that one, I got some great ideas from the people who attended that I've not only added to the class, but I'm now stealing.
Wait, so how many times have you taught that class?
Oh, I'm double digits.
Okay, so you're still getting stuff that you're changing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, people give me ideas.
That's awesome. I just, like, after that many times of teaching it, I'd be like,
we still give each other, I got bratting ideas.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's great. And then I ended up doing 7 scenes that weekend. So Friday night was impact scenes. I taught for 3 impact scenes. I did Naughty and Nice, of course, and Cindy and another friend, 5309. I will call her that since I didn't ask if I had permission to use her name.
She's
one of our patrons.
Yeah, she was at the tea.
Okay, yeah.
The Rocky Horror Tea.
So, always a fun night. Like the ones with 5309 was very bratty. She just said, like, the only notes I had was she wanted to laugh. So there was a lot of laughter in there.
For that.
Then we ran into some dungeon etiquette issues with some other people. 5309 and I were just sitting down, sort of like in an aftercare situation, when the DM comes over and asks us how much longer we're going to be because somebody wanted the cross. Now, this particular cross had 2-sided. So one side was a cross and one side was like a ladder, but it was one piece. So I, wanted to make sure I was very careful. So I'm like, just give us 5 more minutes of stuff and then we'll clean up. But the people who wanted it decided to sit down almost on top of us and hover. So I slowed down.
Because petty.
And we ended up, they told us they needed the whole thing, front and back. So Naughty and Nice and I ended up moving over to another area. But I had said to the people when I finally stood up, I said, next time, if you could not hover over and give me a little more room. And one of them, I don't know if they identify as trans or cross-dresser, but they were in their femme persona, already probably a 6-foot person wearing like 6-inch heels. And decided to really lay into me. And I felt very unsafe because I'm in flats, 5 foot nothing. And they're like 6'6", like hovering over me.
Just like trying to be intimidating and shit? Yeah.
And they're like, well, you can't hog up the equipment all night. I said, I've done one scene. I haven't hogged up the equipment. I've done one scene. We were doing aftercare. They're like, well, there's another area you should be doing aftercare. And there's other people who want to use the equipment. Meanwhile, I'm noticing other pieces that are open, but it just wasn't what they wanted. And they proceeded to then take up both sides of the equipment with the way they were doing the scene, which was to tie the femme up to this cross side, and then their dom, also femme, climbed up the ladder side, sat on the top of it while the first femme ate her out.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third person also climbed up the ladder side to kiss and make out with the second femme. And I was thinking, so wait a minute. You're taking up two sides of this piece of equipment and somehow you think I'm wrong?
Yeah, talk about hogging.
Right? And it took Naughty and Nice and I a little bit to get our headspace back to do the scene. And then it turned into what is usually for us a very silly, funny scene. It ended up becoming more cathartic for her, for Naughty and Nice.
Mhm.
So there was some tears shed, which is fine. I mean, if that's what she needed. And then my scene with Cindy, which was always hysterical and funny because Cindy tries to claim she's not a brat. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
news flash, sweetie.
Yeah. So that was Friday night. Then Saturday night was needle night. And I did 3 needle scenes. And the first scene I did was my friend Chubby Pig. And she wanted something creative and artful. So I made a Christmas tree on her leg. And it came out really cute. I did the outline in the needles, and then I took green string and wrapped it around and back and forth, and it came out really cute. So I do have a picture up on my FetLife page if anyone's interested. Then I did a sadistic scene with Naughty and Nice, which was really funny because at one point she started giving me grief. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you seriously giving grief to the sadist who is holding a needle in her hands?" And she stopped and looked at me. She goes, "Shit, I guess I am." I said, "Yeah, I guess you are." And I literally just took the needle and went poke, 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 all over her breasts.
Serves her right.
It does. I said, that was not your brightest move. And just in case you guys don't even understand how sadistic that really is, every time you poke with the needle, it dulls the needle. So the next time you poke with the same needle, it's duller, it hurts more. And here I poked her like about 10, 15 times, and each time it's going to hurt more. Then, and Dar, I'm giving you a trigger warning. I don't know if anybody else needs this, but I'm giving you a trigger warning.
Can you not see that I'm already half off the camera?
Right?
Like
So
going, oh.
I would put the needle through and then twist it while it was in the skin and then put it back in. She wanted a sadistic scene. I gave her a fucking
Oh.
sadistic scene.
Ew.
And then I finished up with Cindy wanted to get her Lobos. And for those who might not remember, Lobos stands for lots of big ass sharps. And what it is, to get a basic Lobos, you need a minimum of 50 needles that have to be 18 gauge or smaller. Well, technically bigger. A
I
smaller
was going to
number
say
gauge.
18 or bigger.
Right. But it's very confusing because the next biggest after 18 is 16. So the numbers go down, but the size gets bigger. So the smallest needle, it's got to be a bigger needle than an 18 gauge and 50. So I did that scene with Cindy, and that was great. She succeeded. So I did 3 needle scenes completely different. One for sadist, one for art, and one for just pure numbers. And then I
Very
got
cool.
to finish the night with bottoming for Singletail, something I haven't done in forever. This is a person I know that I've been wanting to bottom for him for years. I had first asked him years ago, and it just never happened. And it's kind of funny that it finally did. And it was a great scene, and I got fucking marked up. And then I accidentally got cut. My skin broke. And I laughed. I'm like, "Yay, I got to do blood play after all," which is fine. So it was really wonderful. And we both had a great time. So hopefully this should not be the last time that I do a scene with him. But that was that whole weekend. That was a very busy, crazy, and I came back with a con crud. But meanwhile, I still so the conference ended. I came home Sunday. 3 or 4 days later, that Thursday, I taught my brat class again virtually for another group. So I absolutely loved that. And that was very cool. And it's kind of interesting because then Saturday we had risque.
Right.
And I had somebody come up to me going, "Hi, so I'm Bratty C from the class, and I just wanted to tell you that, oh my God, I loved your class."
That's awesome.
So, and then I talked to her again later. She was new to the event, so I got to go over the speech with her. And then I talked to her later on at Risque, where I helped out somebody who, this was really funny. So I was in the needle area waiting for a table because I was topping my friend Hollow for a needle scene. And my friend Pinky was self-stabbing, and she asked me about getting a picture. And I said, well, because we have a professional photographer at this event, you can't take your own pictures, but we can get a DM to walk you over to get your picture professionally taken. So I looked around for DM and I found Noir. So I brought Noir over. So Noir and I together, because I've done it so many times as the person with the needles in me,
Yeah.
that I'm telling Noir, the DM, how we do this.
Aww.
So I'm like, okay, this is what happens. You walk in front of her, she'll walk in the middle, I'll walk behind her. Before we leave, we have to count the number of needles. When we get to the photo place, we have to count to make sure we have the same amount of needles. Before we leave that place, we count the number of needles. Then when we get back to the medical area, we have to count the needles again to make sure we have them all. And so Noir, because she's twice the size I am, and I mean height, folks. Don't get nasty with me. She's twice my height.
By the way, this is Noir Legrand
Yes. Yeah.
of the sounding episode, who is 6 foot tall fucking Amazon.
Without the heels, let alone when she's in heels.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So I got to be behind Pinky with my arms out, yelling, "Hole in the wall! Make a hole! Make a hole!" and follow behind. But I was doing it
No
with
wonder you lost your voice.
Right? I was already my voice is already bad at this point. This was just worse. And so we walked. She got the picture taken. She walked back. And then when she was done, I got to do my needle scene with Hollow, and we were doing needle impact. And it's always fun to do needle impact with Hollow because she's a screamer. She's a screamer. So, and she must have told a lot of people we were doing this.
What time was this?
I'm sure it was after midnight, so I'm sure it was past your bedtime.
Well, yeah, because I left at 12:40.
We probably hadn't started the impact part, but did have the needles in her because I don't think we got onto the table to like 12:15, 12:20.
Got you.
And we had to set up, get the needles in her before we started the impact. And that she doesn't scream for the needles going in; she just screams during the impact. So,
yeah.
So we got to do the impact, and one of the things that I love about with this particular person when I do scenes with her, I'm very much a service top. These scenes are very much, what do you want? How do you want it? So like we'd initially said we were going to do 10 needles. 8 needles got in and she goes, "I think I'm done. I don't want to put the other 2 in." I'm like, "You got it. This is your scene. I'm just helping you make this scene happen." Right? And people need to understand that there's different kinds. Sometimes the scene is about what I want, but sometimes it's about what the bottom wants. And that's the main focus. And so we did that. Then we got to play in her blood. I had a paintbrush and I painted. And then I signed my name in her blood because I like to autograph my work.
Yeah.
So, and then
Tell me when I can come back.
Then I woke up Sunday morning and had no voice. So there you go. I'm done.
Okay. Well, let's see. My risque started actually, like, I think I might have been littling out from the moment I got there. I don't know why. It just happened like that. So Noir doesn't normally DM for that, or like she hasn't really that much in the past. So that night, Noir and Sophina were there, my 2 favorite goddesses. Like these women are absolutely smoking hot for completely different reasons.
Yeah, the person who normally DMs is the one who was the one who topped me for the single tail.
Right.
And he wasn't there.
Oh.
Now
fuck yes.
Now you know who I'm talking about.
Yes. Oh my God. That's fucking awesome. I can totally see that being, 100% being a thing. God damn, that's awesome. I almost wish I had seen that. But yeah, so these 2 absolute fucking goddesses, I decided that I wanted to get a picture with the two of them. So we run out to the main area where you're allowed to have the phone. I handed it to Rara on the way. I was like, you have to take a picture. So Rara takes this picture, and Noir said I was a double stuffed Oreo and slapped me on the tits. That's the picture. Like, she just slapped me on the tits. It was like, oh, here we go. I was like, okay, so this is starting it out. And I was like really giggly and giddy because of that. Because I was squished between these two absolutely amazingly hot women. And it was just like, ah. And then, so one thing that I moved spots. So like normally I am the first thing that you see when you come in. I am directly right of the door and you immediately see my station. Now they put a vendor there and I moved over because somebody left. They left Risque. They're no longer going to be demoing. And I sort of like moved over and I found I like that spot better.
I was going to ask.
Because it has a better outlet.
I was going to say probably less traffic too. Like the people who are there for the right reasons, not.
I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I really liked being the first thing people see because they come in and are like, holy shit, what's this? Like immediately, you know? But I also really like having an outlet that I don't have to run an extension cord all the way through hell and gone.
Yeah.
So that was great. There's more area for me to like hang stuff. You know how they have that like banister going across the back?
Yeah.
I could like hang my tinsel and my cloth back there if I wanted to. So all in all, it's a good spot. I am not complaining about that spot, but I just liked having the outlet. Anyway, Freddie got on the table almost immediately because he's like an addict now. And we did his first electro blanket and tinsel. Normally, I save those for toward the end of the night because they're really big crowd draws. And doing it at like 9:20 when almost nobody is even there yet is not as big of a thing. But we did it anyway. Freddie had a good time. We did actually have some people show up and Freddie was like, here, take it, wrap the tinsel around you. You should do it too. So he was doing his damnedest to get more people to play. Dude is an absolute electro whore now. Like immediately. Pretty good amount of newbies. Got some of my old timers. ADEX, how do you say it?
ADEX. That's how I was called ADEX.
Sure. ADEX elevated the screaming this time. You know how it's sometimes like a jungly kind of noise?
Yeah. No, I know. Well, he screams when I heard him with needles too. So yeah.
Yeah. So he does the same noise, but this time it sounded like a cross between that and a siren. And I had to tell a few people, it's okay. He likes it because they were doing that, you know, that concern kind of look. I'm like, no, it's fine. I promise. It's good. So that part was like super funny. And here is my finale.
I feel like, do we need a drum roll?
I don't know. I've been high off of this one scene. Like, I think I'm still high. I work at a somewhat conservative place, and I still went to work and told people about this scene. I'm still in awe. So yeah. All right. So I'm on my break. I'm chatting with Freddie. I think Noir was standing there too, because at this point, I don't fucking remember. And this girl comes up to me and she says, hey, I'm your 11:20. So like right after the break, I'm your next person. How would you feel about using a sword? And I went, what? A sword? And Freddie goes, a sword? And I went, a sword? And we just kept doing that back and forth for a whole lot of time. So now I can't say sword without saying sword. But they were like, okay, yeah, so me and my partner do historical reenactment fighting. And all of our ears are perked up at this point. And we're like, okay, that's fucking badass. And she goes, and we have a sword in the car and we were wondering if we could bring it in and you could use it to electro me. And I went, holy fucking shit. Yes. Yes, I will electro you with a sword. Holy shit. So we start telling people, oh my God, there's a sword. We're going to do it with a sword. We're going to electro a sword. And I told the runner of the thing, I told Cosmo, I'm telling all these people, oh my God, at this time you have to come back. We're going to have a sword. And they're like, a sword? So, so they bring in this fucking sword and it's a rapier. Like, on guard, touche, and three musketeers. And like, it's a rapier. And so I put it kind of onto the back and finish my break. And she comes back, lays on the table. I warm her up nice and slow. And by slow, I mean about 8 minutes because I was so fucking excited. And at this point, the word had spread. And there's a bit of a crowd. Okay, cool. Yay. So I reach down under the table and I pull out this sword. And people, and I hold it up in the air, you know, like it's Excalibur. And people are like, oh! So like, I have a sword. So she has the handheld. Her entire body is electrified. I take this sword and people are like scooting back because this is a long fucking thing. And I place it on her and I start kind of like moving it a little bit and it barely sparks. And everybody makes the sound of disappointment.
Aww.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm here to help.
Thank you. You're a really awesome sound effects person.
Thank you.
You see if you could do more. So I was like, okay, hang on. So I like sort of, instead of just using like the pommel end of the sword was not conductive. And that's where I had my hand. And then I had like one finger touching the actual blade part, which was conductive. And I was like, all right, hang on a second. So I two-hand this bitch. And I had my whole hand wrapped around the blade. It was not sharp. It was a practice blade. It was completely dull. I could have like, run my hand through this thing and nothing would have happened. And then I start dragging it across her using just the edge. And then the sparks went.
Ooh.
Exactly. Thank you.
I'm doing my job on the sound effects.
You did. You got to keep going. This is going to get more.
Oh, okay.
So I'm dragging this thing across her and people are like, oh my God, that's so cool. I can hear this.
That's so cool.
And this girl.
Did you see what they're doing over there? Oh my God, that's so cool.
Oh my God, that's so cool. She has a sword.
She's got a sword.
And there's more people showing up because fucking sword.
Sword!
Sword! Sword! And this girl sort of like lifts up, puts her finger up in the air like Eureka and goes, I have an idea. And everybody like stops dead. And we're like, what's your idea? And she goes, hit me with it.
Hit me with your best shot.
Your best sword. Yep. Yeah. And everybody's like cheering and going nuts. And I was like,
do it. Hit her.
So I'm two-hand fisted this big ass sword and I bring it right down on her ass and she screams. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Rara, tone down the sound effects a little bit. Or lean back from the mic. God
damn. Sorry, I don't know my own strength.
Oh, God, you were supposed to not have a voice. What the fuck?
This is my not having a voice.
Oh, Lord. Can you imagine that if you did have a voice? I think I would have gone deaf. I'm actually surprised I'm not deaf. So anyway, back to my story. Because it's super important to finish this story, of all stories. So I hit her with it. She screams, don't do it. And and then I pause and I'm like, okay, is that a good scream or a bad scream? Because at the moment, I have no idea. And she goes, that was amazing. So I'm like, okay. So I'm starting to beat her ass with a motherfucking sword.
Now you're starting to understand the joys of impact.
But it was sending sparks all over the place. So yeah, we were like screaming. Everybody was losing their goddamn minds at this point. And then I went, wait, Eureka hand. I have an idea.
What?
And I took the sword, stuck it in my electro blanket, the cloth, the mesh one, and hauled this thing up like it was a flag going up for a world war.
Victory.
It was Iwo Jima, like flinging this thing up and around like a goddamn silver rainbow. And we put it on her and I hit the button. She's electrified again. I take the sword and I put it on her. And my God, the sparks that flew off of this thing all across the blanket. I beat her. I ran it up and down. I gave her a break and I used my bow and then I beat her again. This girl was screaming, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. And I'm like hitting her ass for all I'm worth to the point where I was physically jumping up and down.
Got a good workout.
I blew out my knee, but it's okay. It was worth it. I still have a bad knee today from this, but I do not care. I electrode and beat this girl's ass with a motherfucking sword.
Okay, but here's the important thing. Did she come?
Yes. I have no idea. I have to ask her. She emailed me. I have to ask her, but that'll be, I can tell that story, but I don't think she did, but she was high as a fucking kite after this.
All right, so how soon until you have purchased a sword?
I may have told somebody and they said that their dad is a blacksmith and can make me a sword. So we might be in talks to make a sword as of today.
There we go.
But anyway, I know you have experienced this before, but I haven't ever done something that insane and intense that we got applause.
Yep. It's fun, isn't it?
It was such a rush.
Do you understand now? Do
Yes,
you understand?
I am positive that is why I am still high. I didn't crash yesterday. I took a very long nap. But you know how I usually act when I'm like dungeon crashing and I'm dropping?
Yep.
I haven't hit that yet. I'm going on day 2 of this. Do you see my face?
Yes.
Does this look like somebody who's dropped?
No.
No. It's going to be very bad when it actually happens.
Tomorrow.
Holy shit. Maybe. Oh my God, though. A motherfucking sword. So anyway, I told the person whose dad is a blacksmith, I was like, maybe not a sword. Maybe I need like a batleth. And you won't understand that because it's a Klingon warblade from Star Trek.
I know Klingon, but I do not know that level of Klingon.
I just have always been in love with that particular weapon because it looks fucking badass. So I want one. But I think what I'm trying to say is what all this has taught me is I need a fucking arsenal.
Yeah. Impact is fun, my love.
I need weapons to hit people with.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I do. Holy shit, it's a sword. Anyway, on my notes, I was telling Russ, I'm going to tell you guys, I wrote all this stuff out with like bullet points and stuff so I wouldn't forget. But the only thing I have for that scene is sword.
That's all you needed.
I will never forget.
It's going to be a very, very long time till you forget that feeling.
That was so good. That was so good. Okay, I'm done. I'm actually done.
That's it. Well, so that was episode number 200. Oh my fucking God.
Dungeonpalooza.
Oh my God, I cannot believe that was our 200th episode.
It was
that's
an
just
episode
insane.
of shtick.
It's just insane. I remember number 1. Thinking, God, I hope people listen to us. And here we are at number 200.
Okay, we can quit now, right? We've achieved.
No, we have not.
Oh, what are we achieving?
We're going for 1 million listens.
Oh.
We're over halfway there.
Okay, so almost 4 more years. Got it.
No, my calculations say 3.
According to my calculations.
According to my you know me. I sat and figured it out right now. 3.
Well, you know what they say.
What?
You make plans and God laughs.
Oh, all the time. But it doesn't matter
So.
because don't worry, I have multiple plans.
Oh God, I forgot.
So I'm
it's
keeping
you.
God busy. I was talking to somebody and I was talking to something and they looked at me and they went, "Are you a Virgo?" I said, "Uh-huh." They went, "Oh, that makes so much more sense."
My eyes just rolled so far to the back of my head. I'm pretty sure they're still there.
But yeah, so welcome to 2025. We have a lot of great episodes coming up, a lot of great ideas. And we thank you guys for joining us for our 200th episode. And we'll see you guys next week.
I got to say it one more time. Can I say it one more time?
I know you want to. Go for it.
Sword!
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
And level up your kink knowledge.